Hey everybody, it's Spear here. Welcome back to another Archetype 101. And today we have mono green Gotenks. And I'm glad I'm finally getting to this because guys at my locals have been arguing, have been yelling at me to get this one done just so that they can start knowing what the deck does. So here it is. Here's Gotenks. It's a great deck. So let's just jump right into it. So generally the deck is a union focused aggro. Essentially it's similar in that with Gogeta, the red Gogeta that we went over this week, you're setting up your Union Fusions, but this one leans a bit more aggressive because you pop off a turn earlier and your cards are more aggression focused. It's more like an aggro version of a Union strategy, as opposed to where it's a Gogeta is like almost kind of like combo explosive. This one is early aggression and board control. Board control specifically because a lot of your cards, KO cards as they come in, you have dual attackers, and you also have your leader, which prevents your cards from dying. So really, not only are you board controlling, but you can press up a lot of aggro while it's hard for your opponent to consequently fight back. And finally, with green, the highlight is the Unison marker removal, and that is very much relevant in this archetype as well. Of course, we start with the leader. So we have Gotenks, auto when you attack, draw one card, always good. Awaken when your life is at 4 or less, or you have a green Unison card with a specified cost of 2 in play. You can draw one card, switch up to 1 energy, and then take 2 life to get to 6, or take as many life as it takes for you to get to 6. So at least you're not an 8 awaken leader, right? You awaken at 6 guaranteed. So Gotenks will always have 6. That's good balancing reasons. But the fact that on turn 2, you're pretty much guaranteed your awaken as long as you see your Unison is super powerful. Gives you a lot of different options. And being 15k for majority of the game is huge. It means your opponent needs to put more into you to try and deal damage to you. It means that you can accrue more value with your awaken side. Super powerful. And here on the Awaken side, we have Gotenks Extravagant Assault. Permanent, your opponent's leader can't attack your battle cards. And this is what I was saying where it's great for board control. Now your opponent needs to commit actual battle cards or straight up removal to try and deal with your board, as opposed to using their leader to clear it out, which is great to take away that option from them. Auto, when this card attacks, draw one card. And then activate main for 1 green once per turn. Choose one of your opponent's Unison cards and remove a marker from it. So just straight up having Unison marker on the leader is amazing. It's great flexibility because it gives you that ability to take away a god stealing technique without having to commit your entire board into attacking into, let's say, a Zeno. So you have that option, which is huge. And if you're not going into that kind of matchup, well, then you can just start flooding the board because you can pitch a card and then play 2 ghost tokens. And then you have the benefit that your opponent can't just get rid of those ghost tokens by attacking with their leader. So great versatility there. A lot of options, which make it really good at a bunch of different matchups. You know, control matchups, you can swarm your opponent or you can stop their marker removal. A lot of things you can do there. So what are the Gotenks, right? If we're a union-based deck, what cards are we trying to fuse into? Here we got SS Gotenks Friendship Fusion, unique critical Union Fusion for 1 green using a green Goten and Trunks. Permanent, if this card would be removed from your battle by an opponent's skill, you may choose 1 card in your hand and discard it instead. While it's not insane, there is something to say about a battle card that you just can't kill, that will stay on board no matter how much your opponent's trying to remove it. And the only thing that really gets around this is if your opponent negs it to 0 or less. Depending on the matchup, huge capabilities of being a very powerful card. However, not as explosive as this SS3 Gotenks All Out Assault. Deflect, Double Strike, Deflect is huge on this card. It makes it super good, especially considering it's on play auto. So you can either EX Evolve for 2 green on a Gotenks with an energy cost of 3 or 6. So this 6 drop here, once it's 6 on board, gives you that ability to EX Evolve on top for 1 green cheaper than you would Union Fusion. But the Union Fusion does allow you to draw a card, so at least you're not negging 2 cards to go into it. And then auto, if your leader card is green, when this card is played, choose up to 1 of your opponent's Unison cards, remove 2 markers from it. Huge, especially considering that it has Deflect. And then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and KO it. My Invoker Vegeta cries all day to this card, right? So there's not much you can do about it there. It's a huge 30k double striker, which means a lot of removal just straight up doesn't touch it anyways. This card does a lot, and at least you always get value from playing it, even if it gets removed right after. And if we look towards the anniversary box, a lot of this archetype, to the best of my abilities, I try and stick to set 11 or the set that I'm trying to present, because, you know, for newer players, maybe they only have access to the Vermilion, like let's say for this set, Vermilion Bloodline. You want them to be able to create an archetype out of that. But it's really tough talking about the Gotenks archetype specifically this time around because a lot of the great options for the deck require anniversary box cards, which is why I'm including it in the main segments here as opposed to an old support section in the back. Here we got Gotenks, the Grim Reaper of Justice, Deflect, Dual Attack. So again, these deflects are huge. They're so good for the cards. Union Fusion for 2, any color, interestingly enough, which means you don't actually have to be a green leader to be able to run this. But regardless, a Sun Goten and a Trunks Youth, those don't have to be green either. So that's something to keep in mind. They do not have to be green. Auto, if your leader card is a green Gotenks card, okay, so the benefit you get is for being a green Gotenks. So when this card's played, draw 2 cards, then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. Again, removal, card advantage, amazing. Auto, when this card is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill or KO'd, add up to 1 Sun Goten card and 1 Trunks Youth card from your drop of your hand, which means you get those materials back to be able to go into more fusions afterwards. So this is a fantastic card to be able to push. It has dual attack, which means that you can clear boards with it if you don't just want to kill your opponent. A lot of different options. And then there is this promo Gotenks, greatest fusion of them all. Deflect, unique, Union Fusion for 1 green. So this is the other one that you can evolve into with the 5-drop. Auto, if your leader card is green, when this card is played, draw 1 card, then choose one of your opponent's Unison cards and remove a marker from it. So this one being the 3-drop that has Deflect, which means on turn 1, you can go into this, to then turn 2, go into the SS3, which means if you need to be that aggro deck, here is the option to do it, as well as having those extra options to clear board, clear markers, and really be able to punch it. Of course, if we have Union Fusions, then we have the materials. Here we got Trunks, Bonds of Friendship, activate main for 1 green. If your leader card is a green Gotenks card and you discard this card from your hand, play or add to your hand 1 green Sun Goten card with an energy cost of 3 from your deck, then shuffle your deck. So being able to search if you have like 2 Trunks, here that just allows you to go find the other 3-drop. And then auto, when this card is discarded from your hand by a Union skill, look at the top 7 cards at the top of your deck, add 1 green Unison card with a specified cost of 2 among them to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. And then additionally we have Sun Goten, Bonds of Friendship, critical, activate main for 1 green. If your leader cards are green Gotenks cards and you pitch this, you can go find a Trunks. So it's great that these cards are able to search one another out, because if you're ever in a situation where you have 2 of them of the same ones, at least now you're guaranteed to be able to go find your other copy. Mind you, it takes an energy, but that's not the end of the world. And the Trunks gives you the benefit that when you Union Fusion him away, you're actually still getting a card back. And then you're on top of the fact that some of them draw 1 when you're Union Fusioning, it means you break even on that at least. And then you can get these materials back if that card's ever dealt with. Going into the promos, we have Trunks brimming with talent. Activate main for 1 green. If your leader card is a green Gotenks, add this card from your drop area to your hand. So right there, we can just skip the whole searching part and just straight up fetch Trunks from our drop back into our hand, which is great versatility. When this card is KO'd, add to 1 green Sun Goten card and up to 1 green Gotenks card from your drop area to your hand. There's a lot of versatility, especially when sometimes green wants to do things where they KO their own cards. This is one of those great options to consider. Or earlier on, you can just end up using this as a 15k. It's not great, but sometimes it's just the kind of play you have to make. And you get the added benefit that you can just go ahead and get other cards back from it being KO'd. Of course, if we have a Trunks brimming with talent, we have a Sun Goten brimming with talent. Activate main for 1 green. If your leader card is green Gotenks card, add this card from your drop area to your hand. And then auto, when this card is KO'd, add up to 1 green Trunks card and up to 1 green Gotenks card from your drop to your hand. Same thing, just flip the other way. And then looking into the anniversary box, we have Sun Goten and Trunks, Faultless Youth. This is fantastic because it counts as both Goten and Trunks. Mind you, you can't just use 1 card to pay for the cost of having to Union Fusion 2 of them. You're still going to need 2 cards, but it's great that this card can count for either or. Activate main for 1 green. If your leader card is a green Gotenks card and you place 1 card from your life to your drop area, play this card from your hand. So just a clean 15k for 1 cost. And then activate main. If your leader card is a green Gotenks card and you return this card to its owner's hand, look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck, add up to 1 green Gotenks card or 1 green Unison card with specified cost of 2 among them to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So here we get not only the added benefit of being able to aggro at a 15k, but then we get it back to be able to search the remainder of our deck to be able to find whatever we're missing. All these cards keep referring a 2-drop Unison. What could that be? Well, here we have SS3 Vegito, Peerless Warrior. Again, when you have this on board, because it's a 2 specified cost Unison, your Gotenks is now going to be able to awaken. Auto, once per turn, when you activate a Union skill, draw 1 card. An extra benefit to be able to Union really mitigates the fact that we're negging cards when we do it. Plus 2, activate main, choose all of your opponent's mono green battle cards and they gain Revenge until the start of your next turn. Which is great, right? Especially when we're considering that the deck can pump out a bunch of tokens and then Your opponent's leader can't deal with them, so they have to commit battle cards to it. So it's really great in that now, if your opponent's going to try and clear your board, they're going to heavily get punished by it by having to sack off their own cards to do it in the first place. And that's why I'm saying that this strategy is also really good at the whole board control game, because your opponent has, outside of like a hard board wipe or something like that, your opponent has very little to almost no ways of dealing with your board, which makes it very, very deadly. -7, activate main. If your leader card is mono green, look at your opponent's life, place one card among them in their drop area, then your opponent shuffles their life. Choose 3 cards in their hand and discards them. That's an insane ultimate. So this is the first time we actually get the ability to look at our opponent's life. Huge. You know what? If their SCR is in there, or if their 1 out to your aggro is in there, you're able to take that away, plus rip away 3 extra cards away from them. That's an insane amount of value. Mind you, it's -7. Very rarely is a game probably ever going to get there, but it's just to say that it is an option you can consider, and it's very powerful. Additionally here, while I don't think it like super synergizes with the Archetype, it does synergize with the Unison enough for me to want to mention it. SS3 Son Goku, 2 new extremes, dual attack, counterplay if your lead card is green and you choose one of your Unison cards and remove a marker from them. Play this card, and if the battle card being played has an energy cost of 5 or less, it's placed in its owner's drop area instead of being played. Now, mind you, this is like really expensive, right? It's a 20k dual attacker, but it does cost 4, which is insane. But it's something you can do if that's something, you know, if that's something you're looking for. Then on the defensive, we have Boo Boo Volleyball counterattack. If your leader card is a green Gotenks card, negate the attack. You may choose 1 card in your hand and discard it. If you do, add up to 1 green Sun Goten card with 15k power and 1 Trunks with 15k power from your drop area to your hand. Getting those cards back, essentially, this is a +1 on a negate, which is huge. And if you can set up your Union afterwards, it's a fantastic, fantastic negate. Additionally, we have another one of these. I'm fairly certain every color actually gets one of these, but it's a 1-drop blocker that says if you have a green Unison in play, you can go ahead and draw a card. Handy. Hey, you can also give it revenge if that happens to be Vegito. So, you know, revenge blocker for 1, pretty good. Drew you a card also if you played it late game. So there's really, it's not the worst inclusion. And of course, we have old support. Gotenks is a very well respected archetype from back in the day. So we have a number of cards. While I don't think you play them, because I don't think they're all that great outside of the anniversary box, we got to consider those options. So here we have Unified Spirits on Goten. Activate main, return this card to its owner's hand. Auto, when this card attacks the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 Trunks Youth among them with 15k power or less and add it to your hand. So at +1s, and then you can add it back to your hand. But you're hard casting this for 3. Same thing with the Unified Spirit Trunks. It's the same thing, except instead of looking for a Trunks, you're looking for a Goten. It's there if you want it. I don't recommend it, but it's there. Then we have Psyched Up Gotenks Union Fusion for 2 green and 2, so for 4. As double strike, when you play this card, if you have a Sun Goten in your drop area, draw 2 cards. If you have a Trunks in your drop area, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. It does have that versatility, but Union Fusion for 4 is very expensive considering that the other Gotens do just about the same, however, are at a cheaper cost with more versatility and deflect. This doesn't have deflect, which is a huge knock because it means if you're not able to get this on board because of a counterplay, you just negged 3 cards, which is a huge deal. And of course, I can't talk about a Gotenks archetype and the old support without mentioning the OG Super Saiyan Gotenks. EX evolves for triple green and 1, has double strike, and when you play this card, choose up 2 your energy and switch active mode, and then draw a card. Look, I'll tell you right now, don't play this card, okay? It costs way too much for what it does, but hey, you want some old support, there you got it. That's an option that you can take. And that's generally mono green Gotenks. I was actually really worried going into this archetype thinking that I have to look into a bunch of other sets, but turns out it's pretty well mitigated. Between the anniversary set, which is very accessible, the cards in there are hugely accessible, and then the stuff in the set, you very much have a strong, capable strategy that can aggro, has fantastic long game, and is able to really put pressure on your opponent while mitigating their own strategy between the marker removal and your own board control. So fantastic deck. I honestly is very, very powerful. So it's one of those that you really want to spark, get your little edges on wherever you can in understanding what it does, because I think it's one of those decks that we're going to be seeing a decent amount of going into the meta. But otherwise, how would you guys build Gotenks? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If that was bad, hey, thumbs down works too. If you want to see more Archetype 101s or any other projects I'm doing, I'm telling you guys should maybe be around for this weekend. Something exciting might come. Then feel free to subscribe to be there anytime a video comes up. And with that said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Ciao.